I've seen it happen more times than I'd like to admit. A friend, a neighbor, even my own brother. One week we're sitting at the diner, laughing over hot coffee. The next, I'm standing beside a hospital bed, watching someone I love struggle to form words. One side of their body frozen, silent, lost. Stroke doesn't give you a heads up. It doesn't knock on the door. It just strikes. And if you're over 60 like I am, you know this truth better than most. We don't bounce back the way we used to. Sometimes we don't bounce back at all. But here's the part that haunts me most. Many of these strokes didn't have to happen. You see, stroke is often the final blow after years, decades of silent damage. High blood pressure, clogged arteries, poor circulation, and yes, even the food on your plate. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to share something simple, something natural, something that may just help keep you out of that hospital bed. What if I told you that 9 ordinary fruits you can find at any grocery store, have been shown to lower stroke risk, improve blood flow, and protect your brain? Not some exotic powder, not another supplement, just real food, backed by science, and used by people like me who want to stay sharp, steady, and independent. Because here's the truth. Stroke may come without warning. But every bite you take before that moment, every quiet, thoughtful choice can change the story. So, let me show you what changed mine. But don't just take my word for it. I'm just one man sharing his experience. What matters more is what science says, what doctors have studied, what researchers have tested and published. Because while stories like mine may touch the heart, it's the data that changes minds. So let's walk through these fruits together, not as trendy health tips, but as time-tested, evidence-backed allies in your fight to stay sharp. Each one has something powerful hidden inside. A compound, a vitamin, a natural protector. And as we go through them, you'll see one thing clearly. These aren't miracle cures. They're smart choices. The kind of choices that don't require a prescription, just a little intention. And maybe, just maybe, they'll do for you what they've done for me. Keep the blood flowing, the mind steady, and your days full of life. Not doctor visits. Ready to see what's on the list? I used to think grapes were just a sweet little snack, something you throw into a lunchbox or pick at during a movie. Harmless, delicious, nothing more. But that changed after I turned 65. One day, during a routine checkup, my doctor looked me in the eye and said, "Your blood vessels aren't as flexible as they used to be. That's how strokes sneak up." Then he said something I didn't expect. "Start with grapes." Grapes? Really? Turns out, these tiny fruits, especially the red and purple ones, are packed with something called resveratrol. It's a natural compound found mostly in the skins, and it's not just a buzzword. Resveratrol has been shown to improve the flexibility of your arteries. And when your arteries are more flexible, your blood flows smoother, pressure stays balanced, and clots are less likely to form. Instead of relying only on another pill, I started adding a small handful of red grapes to my morning routine. Some days I eat them fresh, skins and all. Other times, just a half cup of 100% red grape juice. No sugar added. Why? Because the research is clear. One study published in Nutrition Research found that people who took resveratrol for just 30 days saw significant improvement in flow-mediated dilation, a key measure of how well your blood vessels expand and contract. In other words, their arteries became more elastic. That means less stiffness, less risk, more peace of mind. And if you've ever worried about a clot cutting off circulation to your brain, that's exactly what you want. Now, instead of brushing off grapes as just fruit, I see them as quiet protection. They're not flashy. They don't come with bold promises, but they do the job, day after day. So the next time you're choosing a snack, ask yourself this: would you rather have something sweet or something sweet that's also fighting for your health? I know my answer. I'll be honest with you. For most of my life, I didn't care much for pomegranates. Too many seeds, too much mess, and I had no idea what to do with them. They looked like more trouble than they were worth. But that changed when I learned what they could do for my arteries and for my brain. Pomegranates are loaded with antioxidants, particularly a group called elagitannins. One of these, punicalagon, works deep inside your body to calm inflammation, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the very walls of your blood vessels. Now, if you're over 60 like me, you already know. Your vessels aren't what they used to be. They've carried you through decades. Every beat of your heart has passed through them. And over time, they stiffen, they narrow, they crack. That's where stroke risk builds silently. But pomegranates? They push back. A meta-analysis published in Pharmacological Research looked at 8 clinical trials. It found that drinking just 1 8-ounce glass of pomegranate juice a day dropped systolic blood pressure by about 5 points. 5 points might not sound like much, but according to the American Heart Association, that small drop can reduce your stroke risk by up to 14%. Think about that. No prescription, no side effects, just one small daily habit. Now, instead of avoiding pomegranates, I look for them. Some mornings, I drink half a cup of unsweetened pomegranate juice with breakfast. Other days, I sprinkle the seeds, yes, the messy ones, onto yogurt or oatmeal. And every time I do, I know I'm not just eating. I'm investing in the health of my brain. Because here's the thing. Instead of reaching for another quick fix, why not reach for something real? Pomegranates may take a little more work, but what they give in return is worth every second. Growing up, I never saw a kiwi in my kitchen. Back in the 50s, we had apples, oranges, maybe a banana if we were lucky. But kiwi, that was something from a travel magazine, not a breakfast plate. Then one day, during a checkup, my cardiologist said something that stuck with me. If you want a natural way to keep your blood flowing smoothly, try eating 1 kiwi a day. At first I laughed. 1 kiwi? What could that possibly do? But curiosity got the better of me. So I bought a few, sliced one in half, scooped it out with a spoon. Tangy, fresh, surprisingly satisfying. Then I looked into the science, and that's when I stopped laughing. Kiwi is packed with potassium, vitamin C, vitamin E, and plant compounds that reduce inflammation. But what caught my attention was this. It naturally helps prevent blood from clumping too much. And that matters, because when blood gets sticky, clots form. And when a clot blocks blood flow to your brain, that's a stroke. A study published in Platelets found that people who ate 2 kiwis a day for just 28 days saw a significant reduction in platelet aggregation, the fancy term for blood cells sticking together. They also saw their triglycerides drop by 15%. Now, I don't know about you, but I've taken plenty of medications that never gave me numbers like that. So, instead of skipping over this little green fruit at the grocery store, I now see it as a daily dose of protection. Some mornings, I eat it straight. Other days, I toss it into a fruit salad or a smoothie with spinach and almond milk. And yes, when I'm feeling adventurous, I even eat the skin for the extra fiber. Simple, natural, powerful. So ask yourself, would you rather rely on one more pill or add one more fruit? I know which one feels better to me. Tomatoes were always part of my life, in sandwiches, in stews, a slice next to scrambled eggs. Comfort food, really. But for the longest time, I never saw them as anything more than that. Comfort. Then I came across one simple fact that made me stop and look twice. Tomatoes are one of the richest sources of lycopene, a natural compound that helps keep your arteries clean and your blood flowing freely. And when you're in your 60s or beyond, that's not a bonus. It's a necessity. See, lycopene is a powerful antioxidant. It fights off the free radicals that damage blood vessels. It also helps lower LDL cholesterol, the kind that sticks to your artery walls and narrows the space your blood needs to travel. When that space gets tight, pressure builds. When pressure builds, risk rises. Now, here's the kicker. A long-term study published in Neurology followed over 1,000 men for 12 years. The ones with the highest levels of lycopene in their blood had a 55% lower risk of stroke compared to those with the lowest levels. That's not a minor difference. That's life-changing. And here's what surprised me even more. Cooked tomatoes work even better than raw. Heating them actually increases the amount of lycopene your body can absorb. So instead of just slicing a tomato over salad, I started making more tomato soup, simmering chopped tomatoes with garlic and olive oil, adding them to beans or grains, simple dishes with quiet power behind them. These days, I make sure to get at least half a cup of cooked tomatoes a day. Because instead of another supplement or another lecture, I'd rather stir a pot of something warm, familiar, and proven. So, let me ask, when was the last time your dinner helped protect your brain? If it had tomatoes in it, it just might have. They say good things come in small packages. That's exactly how I feel about blueberries. For years, they were just something I'd toss into a pancake or eat by the handful on a summer afternoon. Tasty? Sure. But powerful? I never thought of them that way. Then my sister had a minor stroke at 71. It shook the whole family. That's when I started paying closer attention. Not just to medication and checkups, but to what we were eating. I began digging into what foods actually help protect the brain. And again, I kept running into one tiny fruit. Blueberries. Turns out, the deep blue color isn't just for show. It comes from compounds called anthocyanins, potent antioxidants that protect the lining of your blood vessels, improve circulation, and support brain cell communication. That's especially important as we age, because stroke isn't just about blood pressure. It's also about whether your brain is getting the oxygen it needs every minute of the day. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who ate 200 grams of blueberries daily had significantly increased blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that helps with decision-making and focus. Better blood flow, sharper thinking. That's not a coincidence. Now, instead of just enjoying blueberries, I use them intentionally. Half a cup in the morning with my oatmeal. A handful frozen for a cool afternoon treat. Sometimes blended into a smoothie with spinach and Greek yogurt. And I make sure to keep them around. Not just for me, but for my grandkids too. Because Instead of saying, "I hope my memory stays strong," I'd rather act on it. Wouldn't you? I know what some people might be thinking right now. Can eating fruit really make that much of a difference? It's a fair question, and honestly, I used to ask it too. But then I watched my younger sister, after her stroke, start making changes. She didn't go on some extreme diet. She didn't buy fancy supplements. She just started small. Grapes in the morning, blueberries in her cereal, tomatoes in her soup. 1 week went by, then another, and slowly we noticed something. She was thinking more clearly, remembering names, finishing sentences without pausing to search for words. Now, was it just the fruit? Maybe not. But it was the fruit that started it, the habit that gave her momentum, the simple thing she could do, without fear, without side effects, without waiting. That's the thing about real food. It may not promise miracles, but it builds foundations. Instead of hoping we'll stay strong, we can feed the strength. And when you stack enough small, smart choices, day after day, they add up to something big. So let's keep going. 5 fruits down, 4 to go. And each one has its own way of protecting the brain you've spent a lifetime building. There's probably a banana sitting on your kitchen counter right now. It's one of the most common fruits in America. Affordable, easy to eat, a familiar comfort. But here's what most people don't realize, especially folks our age. That everyday banana, it's one of the most powerful tools we have for protecting the brain. The secret lies in potassium. Just one medium banana gives you about 420 milligrams of it, and potassium is critical for keeping blood pressure in check. It helps relax blood vessel walls. It balances out the sodium most of us get too much of. It keeps the heart beating steady, and the brain well fed with oxygen-rich blood. And when you're over 60, steady blood flow isn't a luxury. It's your lifeline. A massive analysis published in the British Medical Journal looked at data from more than 247,000 people. Those who consumed the most potassium had a 24% lower risk of stroke compared to those who consumed the least. That's not a trend. That's a strategy. So instead of reaching for something salty when I need a snack, I reach for half a banana. Sometimes I stir it into oatmeal with cinnamon. Other times, I mash it with a spoonful of yogurt. And when I'm low on energy in the afternoon, just a few slices do the trick. It's simple, it's reliable, and it works quietly in the background, helping keep my blood vessels flexible and my pressure stable. So next time you see that yellow fruit in the store, don't just see a snack. See a small act of protection. Because instead of one more processed bar or sugary treat, why not reach for what your heart and brain are really asking for? When I was a kid, starting the day with a glass of orange juice felt like a tradition. Bright, sweet, tangy. It was like drinking sunshine. But back then, I didn't know that hidden inside every segment of that orange was something doing real work for the body, especially the brain. Oranges are loaded with vitamin C, potassium, and folate. But one of the most overlooked heroes is a compound called hesperidin. It's a citrus flavonoid found mostly in the white pith and peel, the parts we often throw away. Hesperidin helps reduce inflammation in blood vessels. It improves circulation, and it plays a direct role in how well your arteries expand and contract. Now, why does that matter? Because stroke doesn't happen in healthy, flexible arteries. It happens when those vessels become stiff, inflamed, and narrow. A study published in Stroke followed over 69,000 women for 14 years. Those who ate the most citrus fruits had a 19% lower risk of ischemic stroke, the kind caused by clots. And the reason? Researchers pointed to vitamin C, flavonoids like hesperidin, and improved vascular function. That's why I started looking at oranges differently. Now, instead of gulping down a big glass of juice, I eat the whole fruit. I peel it slowly, keeping as much of that white pith as I can. Sometimes I toss slices into a spinach salad with olive oil and walnuts. Other times, I zest a little orange peel into my oatmeal for flavor, and an extra boost of protection. Because instead of just drinking sugar, I'm now eating for strength. So ask yourself, next time you reach for orange juice, what if you reached for the whole orange instead? Sometimes, the better choice isn't louder or sweeter. It's just wiser. There's something timeless about an apple. It's the fruit we packed in school lunches, the one Mom sliced for us after school, the one that sat in the center of the kitchen table waiting to be grabbed. Back then, it was just a snack. Now, it's part of how I take care of my brain. You see, apples are more than fiber and crunch. They contain a flavonoid called quercetin, an antioxidant that helps calm inflammation and support healthy blood pressure. And the real magic? It's in the skin. That's where most of the quercetin lives. That's where the fiber hides. That's where the fruit does its quiet work. One study published in the Journal of Functional Foods found that eating just one apple a day for 4 weeks significantly reduced oxidized LDL cholesterol, the kind most likely to stick to artery walls and trigger clots. Less sticky cholesterol, less inflammation, more open vessels. That's the kind of math I like. So instead of thinking of apples as just old reliable, I think of them as daily maintenance. I eat one small apple most afternoons, sometimes with a few walnuts, sometimes sliced into warm oatmeal with cinnamon, and when I want a treat, I bake one with just a little nut butter and let the aroma fill the kitchen. It's easy, it's familiar, and it's doing more for me than any sugary dessert ever did. So the next time you hold an apple in your hand, ask yourself, am I just eating a piece of fruit? Or am I reinforcing my future? Because when the habit is this simple, the benefit feels almost too good to be true. For a long time, I avoided avocados. Too fatty, I thought. Too rich. I figured at my age, I needed to cut back, not add more. But that was before I understood the difference between good fat and bad fat, before I knew what the right kind of fat could do for my brain, my heart, and my blood vessels. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fat, specifically oleic acid, the kind that helps lower LDL cholesterol and reduce inflammation inside your arteries. And they offer something else older adults often need more of: potassium and magnesium, two minerals that work together to lower blood pressure and support healthy blood flow. That means fewer clots, better circulation, more stability. A study published by the Journal of the American Heart Association found that people who ate one avocado a day had significantly lower levels of LDL cholesterol and improved vascular function, even compared to those on a low-fat diet. And newer research has even linked regular avocado consumption to better sleep quality and diet satisfaction, something that matters deeply when you're trying to build long-term habits. So instead of avoiding fat, I started choosing the right kind. These days, I slice a quarter of an avocado onto whole grain toast in the morning. I mash some into a salad with spinach, lemon, and olive oil. And when I want something hearty, I blend it into a smoothie with blueberries and almond milk. It's creamy, it's filling, and it works quietly in the background, keeping my pressure steady and my brain sharp. So next time you see an avocado, don't ask, "Is this too much fat?" Ask instead, "Is this the kind of fat my brain has been waiting for?" Because instead of cutting out food, sometimes the better path is adding in the right one. 9 fruits. 9 small choices that don't just feed your body. They protect it. You don't need a complicated diet. You don't need a shelf full of pills. You just need a place to start. Maybe it's a handful of grapes tomorrow morning. Maybe it's half a banana with your coffee. Maybe it's swapping the juice for the whole orange. Whatever it is, make it simple. Make it yours. Because stroke doesn't wait until we're ready. It doesn't care how busy we are or how young we feel inside. But every small step we take before that moment, that's what makes the difference. So here's my quiet challenge to you. Choose one fruit, just one. Add it to your day and stick with it. See how you feel. Notice what changes, and if it helps, if it makes even the smallest difference, come back here and share it. Because someone else might be where you were, and your story could help them find their way forward. In the end, prevention doesn't look like a grand gesture. It looks like a fork, a bowl, a spoon, a choice. One bite at a time.